Hey, Shalom Israel, Most High in Christ bless you. Hey, it's that time again. We need you to subscribe to the IUIC Phoenix YouTube page, all right? So make sure you go ahead and subscribe right now. We need your help. Shalom.
It's that time again. Yeah. Ya es la hora. You know, power hour. Ponle atención. Class is in session. Tune in for an hour, maybe more. That's a blessing. Learn from the captains and the leadership. Flee from religion, cause them churches never teaching everything you learn for your benefit. Line upon line is a requisite. Never take a deficit. Yeah, that mean you take a loss if you stray from the way. You get the understanding if you study every day. Apply what you learn and bless when you pray. It's one interpretation, man, it's say what it say. Ya viene el tiempo, entra para el templo. Aprende del maestro con talento. La Biblia es el centro, usando a Israel como instrumento. No te pierdas en doctrina como viento. Estudia y ora y aplica. Tiempo para Dios, ven, hace una cita. Escritura dinamita, morenos y hispanos israelitas. Oye cómo explica Israel unido en Cristo para la vida, nunca se divida. Tune in, it's the power hour. Learn your family history, don't be a coward. Yeah, tune in, it's the power hour. I said learn your family history, don't be a coward.
Yeah, history to learn, it's the power hour. The 11th hour. Tune in to your history, you know it ain't no mystery. Power hour, the 11th hour. You gon' learn your true history, the 11th hour. Power hour.
Hey, shalom, Israel, Most High in Christ bless. Happy Sabbath. I'm Officer Zara.
Hey, shalom, I'm Officer Eleazar.
Shalom, Soldier Eric. Happy Sabbath.
All praises, all praises. So, hey, we're going to try to get into it, man. I got a lot of information, a lot of stuff from history books or whatever, journals, things like that. So the title of this class is The Blood of Natives and the Gold Rush, right? The Blood of Natives and Gold Rush. So a lot of times when I was growing up, I hear about the gold rush taught in history. I always think just a bunch of Edomite, white men going over there and to California just to find gold, mining gold, and that's it, right?
Right.
That's what. But there's more deeper into that because you understand that it's his story, right? It's his story. So a lot of times, they try to cover up the wickedness they have done in the past. So we're gonna get into it. Can you pull up that first video, please? The California Gold Rush cartoon.
Let me get the disclaimer on there.
All right. Yeah, so right here, this video, this kind of explains pretty much what I had learned in history growing up, but it doesn't tell the full story of what actually had happened. So,
And also, I'm from California, so I know the San Francisco 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
That's the year that the gold miners came to
Right.
California. That's why they call
That's
it.
why the uniform is gold, right?
It
Gold
was
and red.
Yeah, yes, sir.
All right, we're good to go.
go ahead, play it.
The California Gold Rush. Gold was first discovered in California by James W. Marshall at Sutter's Mill near the city of Coloma, California. The story goes back to 1848. James was building a sawmill for John Sutter when he saw something shining in the river. They both tested the metal. It was gold. Soon, the word got out. It was no longer a secret. Not many Americans lived in California, but that soon changed. By 1849, thousands upon thousands of people arrived in search of gold. The journey to California was dangerous. Some would go by sea from the East Coast, or on land along the California Trail. These people would
peep the
become
music in
known
the
as the
background,
49ers.
Go ahead, keep playing.
One way to find gold was to pan for it. miners would sink the pan into the water and shake the dirt away to reveal any gold. Miners needed a lot of equipment, including a mining pan, a shovel, a pick, and food supplies. Businesses who sold this equipment to the miners often became richer than the miners could ever be themselves. Wherever gold or silver was discovered, miners would move in and set up camp. These would often grow into boom towns, which would become deserted once all the gold opportunities had dried up. So, was the gold rush worth it? Some became wealthy, but most returned home
Alright, you can try
empty-handed.
this. So pretty much you can kind of see like, oh, it was all good. You know, a bunch of Edomites, white men going over to California to find some gold. You know, they doing it all their own. You know, they working themselves trying to get the gold, right?
Officer said he discovered gold. I think I read gold in the Bible somewhere.
Yeah, man. So you had something?
Nah, like you said, peep the music.
Right,
The
right.
music trying to sit there and just nice little mellow and like it's not a big deal.
Right. Make you go to sleep
Make you
thinking
go to sleep.
everything was good, you know, them doing that. But let's watch this video. Go ahead and play that for me.
I didn't see no ethnic people in the video either.
Nah.
No colors.
Growing up in the U.S., you learn about the California gold rush, the 49ers, and their hunt for gold. But that's only part of the story. The truth is, the gold rush was the start of one of the darkest periods in U.S. history. But this dark history remained covered up for years. So what actually happened?
There's many lies that were spread about Native Americans through, government propaganda. We were savages, we were Indians, we were basically lesser beings than dogs. The
Pause it
post-gold
real
rush
quick.
era was the
Look, give me Psalms 83. So the thing she said that usually Edomites, so-called white men, they like to push this narrative saying that natives or so-called black people, we are savages. We are beneath. We didn't have any kind of like home train or social
Inferior.
Right, inferior. Right. Those are things that they use to where they can justify the actions that they do. Right, to say that we're not humane. Right. But read this for me. Psalms 83.
Start at 1.
Sure. Or 3. Start at 3.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 83 and verse 3. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones.
They have consulted against our hidden ones. Because if you think about it, if all Edomites, some of them, they might think like, this is wrong, killing all the natives or all the so-called, the black people, right? But they have to justify it to everyone else to saying that these people are savages or inhumane, right? So that's what they do. Go ahead.
Verse 4. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
Let us cut them off. So now they're just savages, right? They just kill each other, right? That's what they do. Go ahead.
For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. The tabernacles of Edom.
That's your so-called white men. They are confederate against us, right? So go back to that video. Go ahead back to that video. You have something?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
the most dangerous time in our history to be a California Indian. Most people did not survive it.
Nicole Myers-Lim and Jaden Lim are mother and daughter. They are also Pomo women who grew up knowing their family survived violence. That was in part spurred on by some of the propaganda that Jaden referred to earlier. Greed for gold in California was pushed through advertisements, articles, and cartoons like these. You can see here in this drawing a 49er carrying several pistols and a rifle. In this picture, a miner is strapped with a gun and a knife while wielding 2 mining tools. And the woman next to him, she's also armed with a gun and a knife. The subtext in pictures like these wasn't lost on the 49ers. 300,000 people poured into California during the gold rush. A lot of them were heavily armed, which led to dangerous and violent behavior.
interesting part of the
Hey, go ahead and
research
pause it.
was to learn that so many crimes.
So they had the men and the woman had guns and knives, right? Guns and knives, and so we're gonna hit it more on it later on. But why did the woman have to have guns and knives, right? There's something that they're showing that there's something behind it, right? We see these pictures of them doing the gold rush, but why have guns and knives, right? Do you think it's just Edomites going against each other fighting over gold? But no, it's more than that.
Hey, officer, talk closer to the mic.
Okay.
So what's heavy is when you look at the first few images. Hey, Othaniel, can you go back? I remember 149 right now. Just go back to the first few images. Keep going back. Keep going. One more. Right. Go up. Stop right there. Go ahead. I want y'all to peep these images and why they put out these images. Go ahead.
They survived violence. That was
So
in
boom,
part
stop. You see that? This is what they're promoting. They're saying, look, Native Americans are taking white women. That's a white woman.
Damn, that's heavy, officer.
Go ahead, next one.
spurred on by some of the
And
propaganda.
then the next
that-
image, boom, peaceful family, and then boom, they're the savages at the door.
Exactly.
Actually praying.
They're praying.
Right.
Yes.
I'm glad you pointed that out too, because she said that was propaganda, and that goes back to that Psalms 83.
Exactly.
You see the knife in his hand?
Yeah. So
like
they
they're
make it
coming
seem
in
like
to kill,
these Native
praying.
Americans are savage. Exactly. They did this. They publicized this on purpose for the gold rush. So hey, we need to have guns and knives and not say anything. Just kill them as soon as we see them.
Propaganda.
Go ahead. Go back to 149.
Oh, praises.
Hey, so basically what you're saying is the same way that they did this back then, it's the same way now that police officers automatically got their hand on
Yes.
the gun
Right.
when they pull us over.
They're thugs.
Right.
They're thugs. They're drug dealers. They're all these different words. So that they a lot could be said by a picture. 1,000 words could be said about an image. And
Right.
this right here shows a lot. You know.
Go-
149, please.
Go ahead.
Crimes were hidden in plain sight.
Benjamin Madley, a professor at UCLA, conducted research over 10 years to complete his book, An American Genocide.
The U.S. Army played a role in the militia campaigns by arming them. So surplus U.S. Army weapons like guns, pistols, ammunition, sabers, cutlasses, those were given to the state of California by the United States Army.
So
Between
so
1840
the U.S. Army gave these weapons to California. California themselves, like, you always think California, Democrats or whatever, out there, this is a good state, whatever. But nah, these are the same people that had your people in slavery. Guess what? The natives that went into slavery, and we're gonna get more into that. So this is, especially them people, the BHI that say that Gad is not a part of the 12 tribes. But guess what? We're gonna see. Go ahead.
1848 and 1852, white settlers in California spent $6 million on knives and pistols alone.
Pause it. 1848 through 1852, they spent $6 million on knives and guns alone. Go ahead, play it.
That's about $200 million today.
$200 million worth of guns and knives today. That's a lot, man. That's a lot.
I don't know if you want to bring this out later on in the show, but California became a state in 1850.
Right.
So those guns and all the stuff they supplied to those Californians were setting them up for war.
Right.
To take that land.
You take the land from the natives and the so-called Mexicans, right?
Exactly.
Issachar, right? Because they had those treaties with them, and guess what? They ended up breaking it, right?
Right.
Hey, it's funny too that the captain this morning was bringing out how the people in Britain were paid for the loss of their slaves. So when you look at these time periods, it's fair to assume that the settlements over here are already collecting money back to fund this type of stuff.
Were well armed.
Hey, pause it. Here's the scripture.
Give me Psalms 50 and 20. It's about the the propaganda, about the pictures of the natives coming in with the knives. The propaganda pictures that you brought out, officer.
The book of Psalms, chapter 50, verse 20. Bring it out! Thou sittest and speaketh against thy brother.
So it's talking about Esau here. Jacob and Esau are brothers. So it says the citizen speaketh against thine own brother, how they had the propaganda pictures of the so-called white people praying, and then the Gadites coming in with the knives. Read.
Thou slanderest thy own mother's son.
That's it. That's it. That's all I had on that.
All right, so go ahead and play it real quick.
For the violence of genocide.
3 mines were set up
Pause
in
it,
the
pause it,
first
pause
year
it.
of the gold rush. The northern
So it's kind of hard to see, but right there above northern, there's a dot. Can you go down a little bit more? All right. So this whole area right here is Sacramento, where the mines were in those circles is Sacramento, and then I think that's what is that? San Francisco? I'm not familiar with California.
San Francisco up towards the middle a little more.
And then that whole area is Santa Rosa, California as well. I don't know nothing about no California.
I do. That's where I'm from.
Yeah.
Come on, man. What's up?
So that dot right there, that's San Francisco, right? So look how close it is, that whole area. And then to the right in that circle over there is Sacramento, that whole area. And those were that's where they had the mines. That's where they had the mines, and that's where the native land used to be, all right?
Look at the names, officer.
Mm-hmm.
Look at all the names. They all Gadite names.
Right, exactly. And you don't see none of these names on the map really anymore now.
No, they're just the streets.
Yeah. Go ahead.
3 mines were set up in the first year of the gold rush. The northern, central, and southern gold fields.
Large ranches would take hundreds of native men and send them up to the mines. It was very common that native people were treated as disposable during that time. They weren't given food or water. They were just basically treated as disposable workers.
All right, go ahead, pause it. So she said they used to take hundreds of native Indians from the ranches as workers, right? But you already know that's dealing with slavery. They took them by force, right, and put them in slavery. If you and then they said they made them work for food and water. And if you think about it, we're gonna get it more into it. The natives already had food and water, right? They had all the buffalo, the bison, whatever, and they had everything that they needed. And that goes back to that Lamentations, right? Where it's saying that our wood is sold unto us and the water is sold unto us, right? That's what it's going back into. And so they are Native Americans. They actually went through slavery, right? We're gonna get more into it. Hey, we're gonna come back to this video. Go to that first picture I had sent you. The first picture I had sent you is the Gold Rush legacy, greed, pollution, and genocide. Yeah.
And also Deuteronomy 28:48, officer, where we're going to serve our enemies for the want of all things.
Yeah, you can read that. Go ahead and pull that for me. Read that.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 48.
Read it out. Read
Therefore, okay.
Therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee.
So the Lord sent those Israelites against Gad for not keeping the commandments. Read.
In hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness.
So it said that they will work for food and water. So it says that our enemies will control the import and exports of these things. Read.
And in want of all things.
Come on.
And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee.
That's slavery. That's
right.
Exactly what they went through. All 12 tribes went through that.
Right. Zoom in for me, please, sir. Can you read that? If you can, it's okay. I can try to read it. Go.
Let's see.
Go. Zoom. All right. So this is from the Earth Island Journal, right? This was in spring 1998, right? This is page 26. The Gold Rush Legacy, Greed, Pollution, and Genocide. In 1851, California spent $1 million on campaigns to exterminate Native people. All right, so on May 12th, 1848, Samuel Brandon paraded down San Francisco Montgomery Street, waving a quinine bottle full of gold dust and proclaiming, "Gold, gold," from the American River. The Gold Rush was born that day. The Gold Rush laid waste the forests of the Sierra and the oak and redwood forests surrounding San Francisco, both formerly home to grizzly bears. A total of 12 billion tons of earth, 8 times the amount of land dug up for the Panama Canal. So you can kind of see right there how much effort and work that the natives and had to put in, right? And of course, you know, you can throw Issachar in this too. You can throw Issachar in this because Issachar was definitely a part of that because this was their land, right?
Same with Judah. Judah was in there.
Hey, officer.
Yes, sir.
Notice too how it said somebody rode through the city shouting gold,
Right.
gold. That just goes to show too how the other nations look out for each other because we wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
in the state that we were in by this point in time, we wouldn't have did that.
Nah, not necessarily. You can also look at it as a setup. How can we get these Native Americans off this land? You know what? Let's say let's go. Because don't forget, Esau's greedy. If you say there's one thing out there that they want, they're gonna go out there and get it.
They all gonna go get it.
The scriptures say they ain't gonna leave none.
Exactly.
They ain't gonna leave none, right? So the Panama Canal was dumped into California rivers during the gold rush. In 1880 alone, 40,000 acres of farmland were destroyed. 270,000 acres severely damaged. 270,000 acres. And just think about all the people that was on that land, right? Now, in that early in that video, it mentioned Pomo Indians, right? And remember, there were multiple other tribes of Native Americans in that land, right? We're gonna get more into it. That glitters. In December 1848, President James Polk said that the U.S. government was deeply interested in the speedy development of the California's wealth and resources. So he had the U.S. president at that time a part of this what's going on, right? But California was held by Mexico. The U.S. used a border dispute in Texas as an excuse to declare war on Mexico. So we heard about that in history, right? But you see what's the main objective here was part of the gold rush, right? The war and the gold rush that followed came at great cost to Native people, the environment, and to the settlers themselves. Only 40,000 of the estimated 90,000 49ers actually made it to California. The rest turned back or died on the way. One physician estimated that a fifth of those who came west died within 6 months of moving to San Francisco, right?
Good.
So you think about it, right? You know, a lot of times, I think or whatever, but you know, Edomites, they can't work out in the mines or in the fields like we did, right?
Right.
They don't have the capability, right? We're stronger, we better than them, right? So that's thrown in there that lets you know that they can't. They said they died in 6 months of moving to San Francisco. Why? Right. So it says California gold barons George Hearst, father of William Randolph, William Ralston, and William Sharon, both of the Bank of California, made their fortunes trashing the lands of Washoe and Paiute along the California-Nevada border, right? So, hold on. I'm going to pause right here. We're going to come back to this, right? But it says California gold barons George Hearst, father of William Randolph, made their fortunes trashing lands, right? Go to that first article. I had looked up this person, George Hearst, and his family, right?
Not Wells Fargo?
You know I didn't heard of him because I'm from there.
Yeah.
William Randolph Hearst, I've heard of him for sure.
This is Forbes. Hearst family. The family is ranked at $21 billion. It says 2020 America's richest families net worth, right? $21 billion. And you know where he got this wealth from? Off the back of our people, right? Off the back of our people.
And that wealth is still circulating through their family today.
Exactly. The first bullet. William Randolph Hearst, we just read it. The son of a successful miner. So you already knowing what this is talking about. Successful miner. Became proprietor of the San Francisco Examiner at age 24 in 1887. So now he has a newspaper business, right?
Right.
It says he went on to acquire additional newspapers before entering into radio, broadcast, and television. So now he acquired the newspaper, and then he has radio and broadcasting television. So, right? Hearst became a New York congressman in 1902. His son, William Randolph Hearst Jr., later became a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist. How you say it?
Pulitzer.
All right. Grandson, William R. Hearst III, now chairs Hearst Corporation, which owns more than 360 businesses. So they have a whole corporation that owns 360 businesses, right? So you can see where all that money is coming from, right? But of course, remember, it was originally from being a miner, right? Major interests include TV network, ESPN, financial information provider, Fitch Group, 300 plus magazine, including Cosmopolitan and Elle. So a lot of black folks, we watch ESPN, right? But guess who owned it? Esau, right? The same people that had your people back in slavery and the gold rush, right? Go to the next tab with Forbes.
That's crazy, man.
It is, bro.
That's crazy.
This is one of the sons, right? Austin Hearst, 1.9 billion as of 2012, right?
Kanye had more money than that.
Yeah. It says Austin Hearst is a grandson of median baron William Randolph Hearst and younger brother of former venture capital William Randolph Hearst III. Austin is a TV and film producer. His most recent project, The Vow, a romance starring Rachel McAdams, was released in February 2012. I'm gonna drop down.
He made Popeye.
Go ahead. Go back up. What'd you say?
He says,
okay.
He made cartoon versions. He made Popeye and Son, Beetle Bailey.
Let me read it. Past work includes TV cartoon versions of popular comic strips Popeye and Son, Beetle Bailey. Media giant Hearst Corporation include newspaper, magazines, TV, and radio stations, and stakes in cable networks ESPN, Lifetime, and A&E. The cable holdings are doing especially well. Hearst Corp's stake in ESPN is worth more than $11 billion. Hearst Corporation is owned by a trust whose beneficiaries are the heirs of William Randolph Hearst.
Yep.
The trust makes annual cash distributions. The family also owns a 90,000 square foot Hearst Castle in San Simeon, California. In 2005, the state paid Hearst $95 million to preserve the property.
It said the state paid them.
Right.
Yo, 90,000 square feet castle.
Yes.
That's what
And the state pays them.
Yes.
That's crazy.
$95 million.
To preserve the property, like they ain't got the money to preserve it themselves.
That's crazy.
Right.
You know how many of our people are like broke and homeless, living in tents in Cali,
Right.
and these people getting paid $95 million?
They could feed everybody with that.
And so it makes you think, like, why is the California doing that, right? Why is the state helping them out? It lets you know that dude, William Randolph Hearst, had some kind of hand in helping California being built up, right?
Yes.
And so we already know that, which was the gold rush, right? You got the picture of the castle?
Dang.
Oh my God. man.
Dude, that's
I'm
crazy.
trying to find a better one.
No, just go to the one right there, down, right there. Just expand that one, cause you want to get the whole thing.
God,
Get the whole thing.
Wow.
Get the whole thing.
Sheesh.
Look at that.
Wow.
Look at all them steps trying to get up there. From the bottom left all the way to the top, man. Come on, look at all them steps.
The pool got 3 different levels.
Man, that make no sense.
Wow. It don't. That's ridiculous, man.
What was it, 4 or 5 stories right there?
It's probably more than that. Probably way more than that.
How many bedrooms?
They live in Jurassic Park. Look at that. That is crazy.
Yeah, that made no sense. Hey, so drop that. Go to the next article I had posted too. I know we kind of talking about this Hearst dude, but I want you to see kind of what he had, the benefits of his family, what they reaped off of with that, right? No thanks.
Yeah, we good. We cool.
All right. This is from the go back up. This is from the Jewish News of Northern California, right? Scroll down. All right. Hearst is an unlikely ally during Holocaust. What? Okay, so we're like, what the hell? What's going on, right?
Right.
All right. So look. 3 rare paintings once owned by media magnate William Randolph Hearst were recently returned to the family of the German Jews who were forced by the Nazis to sell them for a pittance.
Wow.
The return was an act of justice made all the more fitting by the little-known fact that the Hearst played an important role in promoting the rescue of Jews from the Holocaust. Wait, let me read that again. The return was an act of justice made all the more fitting by the little-known fact that Hearst played an important role in promoting the rescue of Jews from the Holocaust. Wow. The 16th century Italian Renaissance paintings originally belonged to the German Jewish gallery owners Jacob and Rosa Oppenheimer. But when the Oppenheimers fled Hitler in 1933, the Nazis auctioned off their confiscated assets for a fraction of their value. Hearst, an avid art collector, purchased the paintings from a different gallery 2 years later and was evidently unaware of their origin. If he had found out even after he purchased them, Mr. Hearst and all his indications would have returned them. I'm going to go to the next paragraph. Admittedly, Hearst was an unlikely ally for the Jews. His sensationalist style of journalism, strong attacks on President Franklin Roosevelt and the New Deal, and the pre-World War II isolationism made him what is it?
Anathema.
Anathema to much of the American Jewish community. Hearst's meeting with Hitler in 1934. His sympathetic remarks about some of the Nazi Germany's policies in the early and mid 1930s. And his publication of articles by both Hitler, Benito, and Mussolini reinforced his image among American Jews as reactionary and possibly even a close anti-Semite.
Wow.
So this dude knew Hitler, right?
Yeah.
In the next paragraph. So just keep bear with me. We're still talking about this dude Hearst, right? He's the same person that had made a fortune off mining in the gold rush. Krishna appears to have been a turning point for Hearst. The nationwide Nazi program in which nearly 100 Jews were murdered, 200 synagogues were burned down, and thousands of Jewish homes and businesses were ransacked, convinced Hearst that Hitler was making the flag of National Socialism a symbol of national savagery. After Krishna, Hearst began advocating creation of a homeland for the dispossessed or persecuted Jews.
Wow.
So you remember when they was talking about we gotta set up a homeland for the Jewish people, right?
And this is where everybody gets that prophecy, quote unquote, from. This is a part of that.
Hey man.
Yeah, but it's crazy. This man had his hand
right
and relocating these Amaleks, these fake Jews, to Jerusalem right now.
Right.
He had his hand in it.
Right.
Let me keep reading.
Go ahead.
When news of the mass murder of Europe's Jews began reaching the United States in 1941 through 1942, the Hearst newspaper empire, which he began with the San Francisco Examiner, gave it prominent coverage.
Propaganda.
So they had their hand in trying to push the United States to what? Get a homeland for those fake people.
Place Jewish people in our land.
Right, like Deacon Abiel said, like the Ishis, right? In 1943, Hearst was an honorary chair of the Emergency Conference to Save the Jewish People of Europe, which was organized by the activist Bergersen group to demonstrate that rescue was possible. In contrast to the Roosevelt administration claims the only way to rescue the Jews was to win the war, right? So we can drop that, right? We can drop that.
Damn. This is crazy. So why he sitting there trying to rescue the Jews, the Negroes, the black people, everybody else is getting hung, getting burned over here. He ain't think about giving us none of that $95 million.
The real Jews.
The real Jews.
It was the 40s, so they wasn't killing us so bad.
No, not in public.
It stopped a little bit.
So let me make sure I got my history right. So they moved Amalek into Jerusalem in what, about 1948? I think that's when it was. So this is leading up to that.
Right, he was the forefront for that.
Right, especially in the U.S. If his media is pushing that in the U.S., because remember the U.S. the one that did it, right? They took a part in that, and so you had to have the people wanting to do that, right? He had to push a narrative of propaganda, like for the U.S. citizens, to feel sorry for them, what they had went
like
through.
They do for a war.
You know what? You're right, because he was the one that was over the news, the newspapers and magazines. So he's putting that stuff out there, like what was the propaganda messages, symbolism messages, subliminal messages.
Exactly. All right, so you can drop these the Forbes in this tab and go back to that first picture I had sent you.
It's the same thing they do for a war, officer. They get everybody, they start lying about Iraq. They got weapons of mass destruction, and everybody like, yeah, go get them. And that's the same exact thing.
All right, so I'm going to read this again. California's gold barons. So what's the California gold barons, right? I guess the head front, the barons, right? The one that's in charge, like in the lead, right? George Hearst, father of William Randolph, William Ralston, and William Sharon, both of the Bank of California. So both of the Bank of California got people, you see how deep the hole goes, right? Made their fortunes trashing the lands of the Washoe and the Paiute along the California-Nevada border. The Washoe population was reduced from 3,000 to 300 during the Silver Rush of 1859. Due to diseases and violence brought by settlers, California's native population dropped from 150,000 before the gold rush to 31,000 in 1870.
Wow.
So, you already in the article, it already said that they had died. All the Edomites died within 6 months from when they had arrived to San Francisco, right? I don't know how it happened. Telling what went down. From the east to the west, but it is what it is. They brought diseases to them and killed them off. Right. Homestead Company of San Francisco, founded by the Hearst family, still runs the biggest gold mining operation in the state. So they still there at in 1998 when this article was made, still mining on traditional Pomo lands. So look, we was just talking about the Pomo Indians, right? Hold on. Homestead's McLaughlin mine produced 186,000 ounces of gold in 1996. So they still finding gold. They still finding gold, right? Shiny Metal, dirty water, right? Throughout the Sierra, miners blasted mountainside and riverbanks with enormous jets of water, pulverizing them in the search for a few flakes of gold. The resulting sediment was carried downstream where it buried houses or shards in wheat fields, right? So you can see how this is affecting the land, right? It's affecting the water where all the natives drink out of, right, and shower. It's even affecting, because they need the water to,
survive.
right, and plant the food, right? To water their gardens, right? So guess what? It's still affecting them, affecting their food, right? The Sacramento River swelled into a turbid sea some 50 miles wide. The downstream consequences of the gold rush continue to the present day. Wow. So the effects of the gold rush still continues, right? On January 7th, 1997, a U.S. Geological Survey employee took a boat out on the Sacramento River at Freeport, a small town downstream from the state capital. Rinsed out a Teflon container 3 times and filled it with river water. The results of the test of this sample was startling. Previous samples had indicated that on a typical dry season day, an average of 7 ounces of mercury are washed into the river at Freeport. These new samples taken during the wet season indicated that more than 70 pounds of mercury were filtering into the San Francisco Bay. Scroll down a little bit, Othaniel. Some 160 times more than the dry season average. A century ago, the Coast Ranges of California were the site of the world's second largest mercury mines. More than 100,000 tons of mercury were dug from mountains and transported to the minefields of the Sierra, where miners mercury over gold ore to dissolve the precious metal. The resulting gold mercury amalgam was then heated, leaving the gold behind and allowing mercury fumes to disperse. So the mercury is getting into the water, right? The mercury is getting into the air, right? You had something?
When I was younger, I fished a lot, and that was one of the waters that we fished in. We couldn't keep the fish because it was full of mercury, and I remember that as a kid, bro.
Damn.
Yeah.
Geologists estimate that some 7,600 tons of this mercury vapor condensed out onto the central Sierra Nevada. Mercury is a deadly toxin that damages the kidneys and nervous system. It has also been shown to cause cancer. So think about all the that have kidney failure, or nervous system, or even have had cancer, right? Because of this.
Wow.
Today, many globals of mercury lurk in the sediment behind Sierran dams, lie buried in mountain lakes and riverbeds, and rest in the estuary that stretches from Sacramento to the San Francisco Bay. The bay is now carpeted with 250 million cubic meters of mercury-laden gold rush sediment. Scroll down. Let me read this. Yeah. Massacres, right? The swift and slow. The descendants of the Akomawi and Astugewi of northeastern California, right? The Nomalaki, the Modoc, Yana, Wilkut, Wintu, Wyatt of northwestern California. The Maidu, the Miwok, Yokuts of south central California, and the Paiute and Washoe of eastern California still tells stories of the Gold Rush Massacre. So all these tribes still know about the massacres that happened to their people, right? It wasn't just one tribe; it was multiple tribes of Gad.
That happened with the $200 million worth of knives.
Right. In 1851 and 1852, the fledgling state of California spent $1 million a year in gold fielding revenue to finance campaigns to exterminate Native people. The state offered bounties to Indian hunters. These range from $5 for a severed Native American head.
Wow.
in Shasta in 1855 to 25 cents for a scalp in Honey Lake in 1863.
So peep this out. If you read in history books, they sit there and say that the Native Americans started scalping white folks first, but they were sitting there telling us, "Oh, we pay you $5." 1863, $5 is a lot. $5 is a lot. That's like giving me $100.
Yeah.
Per Gadite head that they scalp. So just want to throw that out there.
Right, and they'll make it seem like Gad is the one that
started that.
Yes, they were only just doing to them what they were doing to them back already.
Yep. Exactly.
Hey, and that's scriptural. The scriptures say, "Do unto them as they thought to do unto you."
All praises.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Raymond Brown, a Clear Lake resident, reflects sadly, the fish from the lake used to be in our dinners most of the week when we were children. Today, the majority of the elderly people have high mercury levels.
Clear Lake. That's where we. That's the lake with all the mercury in it. Clear Lake.
Right.
Yes, sir.
When we finish this video, bruh,
That is wild.
They in the video, the girls say that the natives talk about how that Clear Lake was full of blood. Full of blood because of the massacres, right?
That's
I've
crazy.
been fishing there a bunch of times too.
Today, the majority of the elderly people have high mercury levels. I don't want my daughter to face the same problems, right? Thousands of Native Californians live with the toxic consequences of the gold rush. On the Oregon border, we can we drop this. Go back to the video, please.
That's crazy. I got a lot of education in a little bit of time.
Right. I still got a lot more too, man. I'm not even hitting all of it. Go ahead, play it.
Some of the white miners wanted to eliminate competition from Native Americans mining freely. But for others,
So
the
pause
period
it.
was
So,
just
just so you know, there were Native Americans trying to have their own business, right, mining the gold, right? So, of course, East going for that. They're trying to eliminate all the competition. So go ahead.
used for brutal slaughter.
Hey, pause it. And of course, Esau gonna say that there were native, the native people that business had other native people in slavery. They're gonna try to throw that out there too.
Of course.
So I actually read a book too. It was part of that. The dude was saying that, but it was all BS. But go ahead.
Two settlers, Charles Stone and his business partner Andrew Kelsey,
Pause it.
enslaved
Andrew Kelsey, right? Kelseyville. I don't know if you heard of Kelseyville, California, right? That's named after him.
Okay.
And so his one lineage, down in his lineage, they actually wrote the book that I was just talking about how they said the natives had natives in slavery. But go ahead and play it up.
Wow.
Pomo and Wapo people on their cattle ranch in Clear Lake.
Kelsey and Stone took 100 Pomo men from our tribe to the gold rush and only 3 returned. They were also keeping young Pomo women as sex slaves in their home.
Of course.
The native men of the tribe went and murdered Kelsey and Stone, and as a result, the U.S. cavalry came and massacred our tribe.
Today, this attack of retaliation is known as the Bloody Island Massacre.
It was off.
Pause that.
This is crazy. So these guys had over 100 men murdered, and they're raping little girls. So of course the tribe is upset. So they go kill those 2 men.
Right. And the U.S. cavalry.
The U.S. the army came and wiped them out.
Right.
So they
Come
whole
on,
tribe.
man. It's nuts.
Give me Deuteronomy 28 and 50, right?
Gotcha.
Deuteronomy 28 and 50. So remember, she said they had mostly when we go through everything, they took mostly a lot of women and children till they killed them. They had, of course,
Right.
they raped women, right? Of course. I'm pretty sure they raped some of the too.
Most
Right?
definitely.
You know they did.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they did that, right? So read that for me.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 8 and verse 50. A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of old, nor show favor to the young.
So guess what? This nation is not gonna show favor to the old or to the young, right? They don't care. They're trying to kill us. They have that perpetual since the beginning, right? Go ahead. Verse 51.
Verse 51. And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle, and the fruit of thy land, until thou be destroyed.
And you want to know how they did that with all the bison, right? Got a whole mountain full of skulls, right? Because that was part of the U.S. The U.S. wanted them Edomites to kill a bunch of the right, so that they could starve the Native Americans out, right? That's a tactic of war. Right?
Right. So maybe they're like, maybe that's somebody else. Maybe it's not talking about the white man doing that. Go to verse 49 real quick, please.
Yeah.
Verse 49. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth.
They come from the end. They come from the East Hemisphere. Matter of fact, they even said they came from New York to go to San Francisco. All right, go ahead.
As swift as the eagle.
As swift as the eagle flieth. Which nation is an eagle? Right now, I'm looking at the United States postal box right there. That's an eagle. Right. That's an eagle. Right. You know what I'm saying?
On the back of your dollar.
Yeah, read.
A nation tongue thou shalt not understand.
Who does that sound like? You think all the Native Americans were sitting there speaking English? Nah. These people came. The white man, Edom, they came, murdered the Native Americans for some gold, and ate all their corn, ate their buffalo, killed the buffalo, and started scalping them.
Right.
Can I get a scripture, officer?
Yeah, go ahead.
Give me Psalms 55 and 21, please. This is another scripture regarding our Esau.
The book of Psalms, chapter 51. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter.
So that's what Esau does. They make treaties with you. They promise you things. Read.
But war was in his heart.
But they really want to kill you. Read.
His words were softer than oil.
Read.
Yet were they drawn swords.
That's exactly what the officer's going over here. That they talk a good talk, but they really want to kill us.
That's it.
Read the 20.
Verse 20. He hath put forth his hands at peace with them. He hath broken his covenants.
That's what Esau did. They broke in the covenant, right? The treaty in the so-called Hispanics, right? The treaty of what I would mention earlier with the Mexicans were the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. The Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. That's the one that had the little Mexican-American War, right? That was a treaty that the Edomites had, right?
And what's crazy about that history, what it was, the Issacharites killed a man that was out there trying to rape and kill their people, and they let hell break loose in Texas, and that's what made them do what they did in California as well.
Yeah, and you can see that. You see that in movies too, right? When you see like some people doing bad to a certain people, then if the certain people react, and then the people that was originally doing that damage, right? They'll probably throw out some propaganda saying that they had attacked us,
right?
Well,
Rosewood,
right,
Black Wall Street.
That's their MO. That's what Edomites do, right? They push that propaganda out to justify what they're doing, right?
Right.
Go back to those pictures. We're gonna go to that next book I had sent you.
And also, there was no police or nobody to regulate anything, so they was killing at will.
It was police that was in there killing at will.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Nobody that say, hey, that's enough. They was slaughtering our
next
people.
Picture. Bro. The Gold Diggers, Indian Miners, and the California Gold Rush. All right, so this is another book by James J. Rawls. I couldn't get the title, not the title, but like the picture of the book itself. But here it goes. By James J. Rawls. Gold Diggers, Indian Miners, in the California Gold Rush. In January 1851, a miner named Luther Schaefer encamped at Grass Valley near a village of southern Maidu he identified as members of the Digger tribe. Schaefer said about his business of prospecting and digging for gold. Women from the village continued gathering wild onions and digging for tender roots. As Schaefer and the Indian woman worked alongside each other, each involved in the same kind of work, but each seeking a different treasure from the soil. A curious thing happened. They all started laughing. The Indian woman laughed heartily at Schaefer's incessant digging and washing of the dirt, pursuing what to them may have seemed just like another kind of rock. Schaefer, in turn, was also amused at seeing the woman so entertained, probably thought it's incredible that they should spend their time digging for roots and onions when the ground might contain a fortune in gold, right? So this kind of lets you know where the mindset of some of our people were. Like the natives, they weren't worried about rocks like gold, right? They were worried about, trying to survive, have food to where they plant and garden, right? But guess what? Esau was laughing at him, laughing at them, right? They was just laughing back and forth at each other, right? Because minds were in two different places.
They like he looking for rocks, and he like they not looking for gold.
Like a grown ass man look for a shiny rock. Like, come on, man.
Right.
So the scene clearly illustrates the
Relativity.
of cultural values. It also raises the historical question: what role did Indians play in the California gold rush? Did they remain as uninvolved and imperious to the allure of gold as the reaction of these Maidu women suggests? Our traditional understanding of Indian-white relations during the gold rush emphasizes racial conflict and hostility. Each side viewed the other as an obstacle. White mining activities interfered with the native access to essential fuel sources. Right? We had read that. We just read that about the mining and the mercury dealing with the bombs trying to blow up the earth. Right? White mining activities interfere with the native access to essential fuel sources, and Indian depredations impeding the whites' access to mineral wealth. While this may be an accurate characterization of relations in the later period, it is inadequate for understanding the earliest days on the California mining frontier. Scroll down. To a remarkable extent, California Indians participated in the gold rush as miners. Right, we were just talking about that. One government report estimated in 1848 that more than half of the gold diggers in California mines were Indians. At first, many Indian miners worked as laborers for white Californians. We already know what happened with that.
Right.
For decades prior to the discovery of gold, Indian labor had been the basis of the regional economy. Then in 1848, the Hispanic system of labor exploitation was transferred from the ranchos to the miners. So that's where you have the Hispanic Issachar coming in, right? We went from the ranchos to the mines. Indian miners also labored as independent agents and traded their gold to white merchants for a variety of goods. As a state, go to the next photo. As a state race in removing debris, working that is at the very spot where the first gold was found. In the flush times immediately following the discovery of gold at Coloma, Indian laborers were a common sight in the California mines, right? Narratives of mining life in 1848 and 1849 frequently refer to groups of Indians who were controlled or owned or employed by whites. Compensation was often identical to the system of Indian peonage, which had existed on the ranchos of the Hispanic California, food and clothing in exchange for labor. So like I was saying earlier, right, Esau does a war tactic to where they try to have you depend on them, right? They don't want you to depend on yourself, right? So that's what they had to do. Control the food, the clothing, right? And we read Deuteronomy 28, right? And one of all things. If they control that, they can control the minds of the people, right?
Right.
So that's what they had did with the natives, right? They had them work so in order for food and clothing, right? So they can easily, Native Americans, they could easily get that, right? I think they used to follow the bison, right, on their trails, right? They could have easily did that, but now Esau making it harder for our people, right? Because guess why? We didn't want to keep the commandments, right? All this is because we didn't want to keep God's commandments, right? Choose life or death, right? Scroll down. Yeah. Hey, I'm going to start right there. Word number 11. It says in May, right there in that line. In May of the following year, Thomas J. Green, Major General of the California Militia, criticized the white miners who were monopolizing Indian labor by giving them a little calico and food. This is not only wrong, Green announced, but highly disgraceful when they only would be content with the pay of 1/4 of the wages of a white man. Indeed, most Indian miners had to be content with a good deal less, right? Go to that. You can see a picture of our people digging in the gold, right? Digging in the mines, right?
They're panicked, yeah.
And remember, man, Deacon had went over this, right? Our people, we didn't wear just little clothes here and there, right?
Right.
We had clothing on, right? You can see that in recent pictures too of Native Americans having a woman wearing full dresses.
Right.
Yeah, I was gonna say, look at what they wearing. They ain't got no pants on in the water.
Right.
You watch TV, Esau make you think that we was walking around butt naked like we was in Africa.
Like some Amazonians and all that.
Right. We civilized you. We saved you.
Go ahead to the next photo. Look in the picture. Zoom in the picture. Let me read it too. Near the center of this crowded scene stand 3 Indian miners, probably Milwaukee, holding what appear to be pans or shallow baskets. Right? Hey, look at it. Look how much clothing
right.
the Native Americans are wearing. Right? Don't let them fool you with that. Don't let them fool you with that BS. Right?
Bring it out.
Hey, look right here. Look how dark he is.
Right.
My brother look like Judah.
Right. Ephraim is a cake on
Cake
not turn. Right.
Yes, sir.
The Indians and their greater heart. Let me read that over. Near the center of this crowded scene stand 3 Indian miners, probably Milwaukee, holding what appear to be pans or shallow baskets. The Indians and their greater hardships recall sand war, but also experience greater compensation joys. The delirium of treasure trove often fired his brain, right? And the hope of finding it often sustained him through the days of patient toil. The aptitude of the savages, men, women, and children, for this delicate mechanical operation surpassed any exhibition I witnessed in the skill of white miners, right? So they're still calling them savages, right? But he's still impressed by how they're able to operate
better than that.
Right, work better than the Edomites, right? How they are able to operate mechanical operations, right? But we're savages. Okay.
That's crazy.
Keep going down. Go back to the video. Let's just drop this. The part 2, I'll read it a little bit later on the next part. Rewind it back a few seconds too. Go ahead.
Enslaved Pomo and Wapo people on their cattle ranch in Clear Lake.
Kelsey and Stone took 100 Pomo men from our tribe to the gold rush and only 3 returned. They were also keeping young Pomo women as sex slaves in their home. The native men of the tribe went and murdered Kelsey and Stone, and as a result, the U.S. Cavalry came and massacred our tribe.
Today, this attack of retaliation is known as the Bloody Island Massacre.
It was often said that Bloody Island was a fishing village, and it was very likely that nobody involved with the events that took place in Stone and Kelsey was actually here. It was just a community, a peaceful community.
So the people say that what had happened with the Kelsey and the natives, the revolt, right? It wasn't even there. So guess what? They probably wanted that land, right? They wanted to kill more Indians. Right. Propaganda pushing it, right? Go ahead, play it.
Great-great-great-great-grandmother hid under her mother's dead body in order to survive. The other children of the tribe hid in the lake surrounding Bloody Island and used tule reeds as a way to breathe while underwater.
Hey, pause it. So think about the trauma that the kids have to go through to hide under their parents or other people that has died to survive so they won't get killed, right? Or hide in water for a little plant so they can breathe through the water.
Snorkel underwater while blood is going over them in the water.
Now, I'm going to tell you something else. My stepdad used to call them things tules, and I thought that he made that up until right now.
Yeah.
Until right now. I thought he made that up.
That was crazy. My cook's name is Thule. Wow, that's crazy.
Go ahead.
A lot of academics and historians and people who recount the events of what happened there always say that the lake ran red with the blood of the native people that lived there.
They estimate in the mass grave at Bloody Island that there's anywhere between 10 and 800 Pomo people.
You know it's more than that. You know it's other tribes. You know it's more than that.
I always lie about the numbers.
Right.
Always.
Right. Go ahead.
Counted. Nobody cared to account for the atrocities that took place.
What we know for certain is that
look at what the clothing they have on. Look at the clothing they have on, but you want to always put them in a little what is it? A skirt made with
grass and all that.
Sis got a bonnet on. Peep her out.
She look like an independent woman.
Hey, Monique, talk to her.
Kevin Samuels be pissed off. Oh man.
Oh man.
Go ahead.
Most of the people killed were women and children. We also know that no one was held accountable, and that the atrocity didn't diminish the legacy of Stone or Kelsey.
So, hey, it's whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty, right? Go ahead, play that.
The town of Kelseyville, California, is named in honor of Andrew Kelsey.
The men.
All right,
who
pause.
committed
We
these
gotta stop there. We don't have time. We don't have any more time. So I'm gonna do a part 2 of this. And so, hey, it lets you know how Esau rolls, right? They always try to push propaganda. You know, in their history, you know, it's very washed. It's very washed, right? All right. They always try to hide things. So all praise to the Most High. This is the Power Hour. Tune in this Wednesday. To the Power Hour Plus. The Lord's will. We have Deacon on there. Happy Sabbath, Israel. Shalom. Most High in Christ bless.
Hey, shalom, Israel.
Hey, shalom. Most
Happy
Christ
Sabbath.
bless.
We used to scream black power while heroin was pushed. But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission, minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road, purple and gold, from Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are our men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.